Welcome into Winston-Salem, North Carolina, home of the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. It's the opening night of college football 2013 as the Presbyterian Blue Hose come calling here at BB&T Field. The fans are excited. The cheerleaders are ready to go. We're ready to go as well. It's Wake Forest at PC, and it's headed your way next. You're watching the ACC on ESPN. On a Chamber of Commerce Thursday evening here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, it's the opening night here of college football in 2013 as the Wake Forest Demon Deacons get set to host the Presbyterian Blue Hose. Glad you could join us on this Thursday night alongside a former New England Patriot and Super Bowl champion, Brian Kinchen. Roy Philpott here with you. Shortly we'll be joined by the third member of our broadcast team, Angela Mallon. Look at this matchup this evening. Two teams with a lot of expectations, Brian, and they're going to go about as far as their quarterbacks can take them. Starting first, Tanner Price at Wake Forest.
Tanner Price is a proven commodity as a passer. 2,300 yards last year, 6,600 plus for his career. Coach Jim Grove knows who he has in his passing game, but all week he's talked about running the football, balancing the offense. And so it's going to be interesting to see how that philosophy pays off tonight in their opening contest.
Price is senior. He's been there and done that. Meanwhile, for Presbyterian, they may play as many as two signal callers this evening, but they'll start with Tam Garrett.
Yeah, Coach Harold Nichols has two young quarterbacks, both with equal amounts of experience. 5 starts apiece last year, but he's decided to go with Tam Garrett, who's more of a gunslinger. He's more of a wild card, and maybe that's what Coach Nichols believes is necessary tonight against an ACC opponent like Wake Forest.
And we check in on the sidelines for the first time this evening with Angela Mallon. Angela.
Well, guys, certainly a lot of energy and excitement down on this field tonight. And this Wake Forest team is ready to play regardless of their opponent. The seniors on this team have yet to have a winning season. In fact, these seniors were seniors in high school the last time Wake Forest finished above 500. So the bottom line is this is a Wake team that's ready to ignite that senior spark. They're ready to show off their experience and their depth, and they're ready to take advantage of a schedule tailor-made for a run. And it all starts here tonight against Presbyterian. Roy?
Angela, thank you. And you take a look at this schedule coming up for the Deacons. It is tailor-made to build the start of a season that can get this program back to postseason, playing back to a bowl game, right?
Yeah, they really need to come out like gangbusters early on. This is not a very, very difficult schedule, and they have a chance to be able to get out 4-0. That'll always help in the momentum of the season.
And, of course, this the opening night for both of these programs. There's always the sense of anxiousness. Who's going to come out more ready, more prepared, and more willing perhaps to take some risk early in this game? Who's the more confident team?
Well, I think that's the challenge for Wake Forest. I believe that those players, as much as they can preach about how it's an equal opponent, they're not looking at the opponent, but the reality is it's very, very difficult not to look past Presbyterian, and they've got to avoid that temptation to come out and play just like it's any other opponent with great grit and great teamwork.
These two schools, two of the smaller schools at the Division I level. Presbyterian actually the smallest with an enrollment at 1,200 students. Wake Forest slightly bigger. You're talking about a matchup, two of the smallest schools in Division I. The crowd still filing in here at BB&T Field, and we are set to go the 2013 season here in Winston-Salem. What a great night for football. Presbyterian will kick things off. It's Brett Wilson, freshman from Apopka, Florida. And we are underway here at BB&T Field. Inside the 10 with daylight across the 30. Go the Deacons, and it'll be Wake Forest football. And here comes Tanner Price, the senior quarterback. Much decorated, and he could lead Wake Forest, Brian, as the second all-time leading passer in school history.
He's got a lot of starts under his belt. He's a very confident passer. Wake Forest knows what they do well, but as I talked about in the opener, they need to try to work on the things that they don't do so well, and that's running the football.
And we had a penalty on our first play. That'll be holding against the Deeks. So So Wake Forest takes over their first drive of this 2013 season inside their own 20. And Price, the southpaw, does it as well as any quarterback in the ACC. Price out of the pistol. This is a new look Wake Forest formation and a new offense this season. Option pitch will go to Harris as he's shoved out of bounds for a short gain.
Well, we see it right out the gate. He's a man of his word, we must say, Coach Grove. He's going to put it on the ground early.
Josh Harris, the senior tailback, was thought to be ineligible to start a preseason camp. Was given clearance about 6 practices in, and now entering his senior campaign, he's got a chance to do some special things.
I know that was a huge sigh of relief for Wake Forest to know this guy's going to be in their backfield all season long, obviously barring injury.
Here's the end around. Orville Reynolds shoved out of bounds short of the first down.
Conservative out the gate. Like to see that. Ball control, consuming time. Very simple procedure, very simple formula for success. I like to see the ball thrown myself, though, a little bit. Roy, how about you?
At some point, you know it's going to happen. Reynolds, a converted running back, now running as a slot wide receiver for this Wake Forest team this season. 3rd down and short. That's Reynolds in motion. Handoff straight ahead, and the PC defense makes a big early stop, and that's key for the Blue Hose chances tonight. They need something going early.
Got to have momentum, and there's no better way to do it than a 3-and-out. Great job up front. Big Brian Shepard up there, putting the hat on the hat, laying him down, keeping him from moving forward to get the first down, stopping him short.
Big stop by the Presbyterian defense under the direction of a new defensive coordinator this season, Tommy Spangler. I'll tell you more about him as we go through the evening. On to punt is Kennel, native of Australia. A booming kick as a fair catch will be made at the 30-yard line. It's Jeremiah Mackey. On the other side, we talked about in the open, it's going to come down to the quarterbacking play. We take a look at PC's Tam Garrick for the first time. Brian, his nickname is Gator. He's one of the tougher players on this team.
Well, evidently he gets that nickname from wrestling with his old man back when he was younger, so we'll see how that parlays tonight as he lines up in the backfield against a very capable, experienced Wake Forest defense.
Blue Hose out of the pistol, just like Wake Forest. Marcus Rouse in the backfield, and he gets the handoff. All kinds of real estate, and he's off to the races. 40 down the sideline. DeMarcus Rouse will be tackled inside the 5. Call it a 66-yard gain for the Blue Hose on the first play from scrimmage.
Can't ask for a better start to a football game. Coming here, distinct underdog. Not only do you get the 3-and-out, but the first play of the game. 3 yards short from Pater. What a great start.
Couldn't have designed that one any better. Right out of the gate. Garrick back in the shotgun. Presbyterian looking to take an early lead. And the handoff straight up the gut. Be a short gain. Seth Moreland. Ball popped out late. Presbyterian will maintain possession. Now the impact player we were talking about, Marcus Rouse. We see his good work early. And for Presbyterian, it's all about establishing the run this season if they're going to improve on their 2-win campaign a season ago. And Rouse, the second leading rusher on this team, returning this year. Second down, goal to go inside the 2. Garrick to Moreland.
Well, the big play out the gate. Put Wake Forest on their heels, but they're doing a good job. They got one more shot out here. If they can shut them down, coming away with 3 would not be a bad thing.
Presbyterian, are you thinking about this being 4-down territory this early?
Without a doubt, away stadium, opening drive, clearly the underdog. This is 4-down territory, no question about it.
Garrett moves under center. I formation, play action, end zone, touchdown, Blue Hose. And just like that, Presbyterian grabs the early lead as Joey Gelke, the first score of the game.
I love that call, the play action, clearly expecting the run from a half-yard out, but a very gutsy call, taking the play action wide open into the flats. Beautiful play, great design, great gutsy call for Presbyterian.
Check that, Chris Hurley with the touchdown catch. Blue Hose trying to make it a 7-point advantage. Extra point is up, and it is good. Brett Wilson with the extra point as Presbyterian takes an early 7-0 lead here at BB&T Field. Chris Hurley reaches pay dirt on the touchdown pass from Garrett. Welcome back here in Winston-Salem. Presbyterian a surprising early 7-0 lead after a 70-yard drive, highlighted by the big run by DeMarcus Rouse. Harold Nichols has got to be pleased at this point, Brian.
Well, he talked about that experience he has on the offensive line. 9 or 10 guys who've played there. It's a very rare thing. They did a great job on that opening drive.
Goff fielded inside the 10, across the 30. John Armstrong brings it across for a 17-yard gain, and Wake Forest with its second possession of the ball game. Right at this juncture, still early, obviously, if you're Wake Forest. Very important not to press the panic button.
Stay with the game plan. Keep it simple, just like they did early. It's just a slight setback. Just got to keep to the game plan.
Wake Forest takes over at its 31-yard line. You might notice the Deacons missing one of its key players in this ball game. We'll tell you about that in a minute as Price takes to the air. The deep pass. It'll be hauled in inside the 30-yard line. Tanner Price, first completion of the season, and it's a big one indeed as Jonathan Williams hauls it in for 56 yards.
Well, there's a lot of air under that football, and you're taught as a quarterback not to do that, but he gets away with it there. The receiver gets up, makes the play, does what he's asked to do. But a risky throw down the middle of the field.
Williams, the redshirt freshman out of Atlanta, Georgia. Deacons football at the 28. On first down, here comes Harris. Penalty flag is on the ground as Harris is shoved out of bounds after the short gain. Now Michael Campanaro, the star wide receiver for this Wake Forest team, the leading returning receiver in the ACC, Brian, out for this game with a hamstring injury.
10-yard penalty.
Going back to this past Tuesday, a big loss for Wake Forest. A holding penalty against the Deacs. Campanaro was thought to be a potential first-team All-ACC player.
Yeah, Campanaro talked all week about playing. Obviously, we'd like to see him out on the field. Hamstrings are tricky, though. I've had a few of those in my career. You do not mess with muscles. Muscles snap and tear repeatedly if you don't let them heal. Smart decision, I think. Get him healthy, get him ready for the meat of the season.
See the numbers from last year. Campanaro, 154 passes from Price throughout his career. This time out of the shotgun. First down and a mile. Williams again, and he'll get some of that penalty yardage back.
Those penalties early, you just don't like to see that. It's going to happen in a season opener. You're going to get a lot of flags, but you coaches, you just don't like to see that. It sets you back, gets you behind the chains, puts you in a world of hurt, gets you out of your game plan, have to do some things you're not really comfortable doing, don't like to do. You want to be able to keep it on the ground, eat up clock, and stick with the game plan, which when you have flags on the turf, it's not easy to do.
From the 33 on second down. Price has time. End zone, and it's broken up beautifully by the Presbyterian defensive back. Nicely done. As Keon Brown makes the play.
Brown does a great job. It looks like they're going a lot man-to-man coverage here early on. They're kind of just daring Wake Forest to put the ball in the air and try to beat them. Wake Forest got away with one long early, but they're doing a good job of covering up receivers and making it difficult for him to get the ball down the field.
This Presbyterian secondary extremely young, starting 2 quarterbacks today with a combined 2 starts. 3rd down and long for Price.
Perfect opportunity, slow screen, my favorite play in the playbook. Don't know if we'll see it.
Shotgun. Price looking for the wheel route. And now shoved out of bounds as he scampers out at the 33. Price a little bit stunned here in the early going.
Well, he's doing his job. He's walking through his progression. Watch his head movements, looking for his 1, 2, 3 receiver. But guess what? No one's open. They're locking him down, doing a great job in the Presbyterian backfield of keeping him covered.
Not forcing the action, and now here comes Chad Hedlund, redshirt sophomore from Argyle, Texas, on for the 50-yard field goal. On the way, that one's going to be wide left. And the Presbyterian defense holds once again. How about this for a shocker? The Blue Hose, 6 minutes into this game with a touchdown lead and possession of the football.
Not a lot of positives here for the Wake Forest Deacon Demons.
7-0 is our score. It'll be PC football when we come back. Jim Grove and company, surprisingly, losing right now to Presbyterian 7-0. 6 minutes into our ball game here at BB&T Field. Presbyterian taking over now at its 33-yard line. And once again, Garrick in the pistol formation. Rouse straight ahead, nothing doing for Wake Forest. And I think they're a little bit shell-shocked right now. Last meeting between these two teams 3 years ago, 53-13. Wake Forest victory, Brian. They got to find a way to get going.
Yeah, they got to get momentum going here. Defensively is where you do it. You got to have stops. Got to have stops.
Blue Hose trying to establish tempo. 2nd down and 9. Garrick rolling to the right. He'll scamper towards the sidelines. That'll be a loss of 1.
Yeah, he didn't have much. He did the right thing, though. He just ate it, took what he could get. Instead of putting it up in risky territory, looking for the pick. Don't want that to happen. They got a lot of good momentum. Just live to play another day.
Big 3rd down coming up. Blue Hose really struggled in this department last year. Now our officials will be talking about perhaps the lights coming on. Reset the play clock. Gorgeous evening here at Winston-Salem. It's off in the distance. It feels more like early October instead of August. The tunnel screen off the ricochet. Maybe short of the 1st down. A nice stop made by the Deacons defense as Jeremiah Mackey gets his hands on the ball for the first time tonight.
That's a high percentage throw. The little screen that had it on both sides. He just simply picked which side he liked the best. They got some yards, gained some, a little bit of field position.
Harold Nichols has to be pleased. Stephen Dorr on to punt this one away for the Blue Hose. Under heavy pressure, that's going to go off the side of his foot and out of bounds. And Brian, that'll be just as good as a turnover for Wake Forest as the Demon Deacons going to take over in PC territory.
Had a little bit of pressure up the middle. I don't know if his eyes were up too high. Needed to be focused on what he's doing. Just comes right off the side of his foot. That is not a good thing. Head coach has to witness right there.
It'll be a net of 13 yards. First time we've seen Nikita Whitlock disrupt the line of scrimmage on that punt. And here comes Tanner Price. Just joining us, it's been a series of big plays on both sides. Presbyterian able to capitalize. A 66-yard run by LaMarcus Rouse.
A lot of seniors on this ball club, a lot of senior starters returning for this ball club. Obviously, this is not how they wanted their year to begin. And hopefully that leadership, that experience is going to pay off here as they try to stick to what their game plan is, try to chip back away, get the momentum back into their favor.
7 minutes to play in the first quarter. 2nd down and 5. Reynolds in motion, and here comes the option. Price, catch me if you can, to the 40. And finally shoved out of bounds at the 29-yard line. Give him a gain of 16 yards. Tanner Price making something out of nothing.
That is clearly a play that a coach stops and starts to yell, "What are you doing? Great job!" Reversing field and making a play. That's what athletes do. They make something out of nothing. Very good. Way to keep his eyes open. Reverse field. He has the speed to do that. Who knew?
Price rushed for over 1,000 yards in high school in Texas. They want him to run more this year. Certainly effective on that play.
Plays are not always executed how you design them, which is a good thing.
Jim Grove's not happy with this one. He said earlier this week, openers are always the scariest games of the season. On 1st down, Price off of play action. Good coverage in the Presbyterian secondary, and Price wisely throws it away, and that's his senior quarterback saving some yards.
Well, again, Presbyterian, they're in that cover one. They got one safety deep, and they're locking down their corners and their strong safety man-to-man. And Price just has nowhere to go with the football. This has happened on a couple of different occasions. You have to give credit to that secondary playing really good football.
3rd down and long for Jim Grove. Not pleased with the start of this team. That 2nd down and 10. And here comes Reynolds. Out of bounds at the 21-yard line. It'll bring up 3rd down and short. Orville Reynolds, a great start to his freshman campaign. He's battled injuries. 32 career carries coming into tonight, but he's a slot receiver this year. Got some nice jets. We saw right there.
He's a very slippery playmaker. He makes things happen in space. Go back to the bad punt. The field position. They haven't gained but 15 or 20 yards on this drive, and they're already in a scoring position. No conversion here to keep the drive alive.
Shotgun Price with the fake, and he'll be tackled right at the line of scrimmage. And again, Presbyterian's defense comes up huge. It's Kyrie Rozier with the tackle.
We haven't talked much about these cornerbacks, but between the two of them, between Crawford and Britt, they have 2 starts coming into this football game. But to me, they're playing like seasoned veterans out there, and they're locking down those receivers in man coverage. That's an amazing thing.
Rozier, just a freshman, and making a huge play. 4th down and short. Last season, the Deacons 9th in the ACC. Reynolds in motion, and the tailback dive. It's going to be close. It'll depend on the spot.
Well, it's all sides on Presbyterian. A big mistake there on the edge. Misjudging the snap count, giving them the free 1st down.
Offside, defense, number 22. 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
Just a hair antsy on the edge. Just a hair. Just enough, though.
I think it would have been short. That's a costly penalty against PC.
Yeah, small things, and they add up. That was a big play. Got to be patient.
Harold Nichols in his 6th season. Presbyterian trying to grow this team up. He said his team was in diapers the last time they made the trip here. As Reynolds is going to be lassoed down in the backfield. That could be a horse collar tackle. And another costly penalty against the Blue Hose. Keon Miller with the stop and the penalty.
Personal foul, horse collar tackle, number 94 defense. Half the distance to the goal, 1st down.
Well, you hate to see that, but that's just part of the game. That's why they have rules. But you're talking about those guys he was talking about in diapers. They're no longer in diapers anymore. These are grown men out here facing up against Wake Forest and really showing what they've got here tonight. Surprisingly to all of us, I believe, that we didn't expect this coming out the gate. And they're really a good, solidly fought ball game, but yet still Presbyterian got the upper hand now. That's going to be 2 penalties now in a row that have just given them extension of this drive that really could have been over with a 3-point attempt, which, as we saw in the last one, they weren't very successful at.
Deacons taking over in this drive at the 49-yard line after a short punt that was shanked by Presbyterian, and now it's 1st and goal. Deacons trailing 7-0. Handoff, left tackle, and that'll be a gain of 4. Jim Grome said this week he was tired of his own team having to face off against itself. He's getting a challenge here early. That was Dominique Gibson, his first carry as a Demon Deacon.
Well, a year ago, the Demon Deacons were the 3rd best red zone touchdown percentage in the nation. They didn't get there very often, but nonetheless.
2nd and goal. Gibson stacked up at the line of scrimmage and driven backwards.
But this is a tough area of the field for a spread offense. Anytime you start condensing yardage in the red zone, it just makes it more difficult to be able to throw balls around the yard anymore. And being able to run it up front is very, very difficult. Presbyterian doing a great job with their big guys up front. Those front 4 doing a great job of digging their heels in. They're saying not on this one. And they're going to do their best to sink their hands down low and prevent 6 points at least.
Linebackers getting free. That was Breon Williams. 3rd down and goal inside the 5. Option again. Gibson fumbles. It'll be tackled in the backfield. That was Deron Dickey with the tackle. A nice job as PC's defense holds yet again.
And you can't just throw it all on Wake Forest and say that they're not executing. The credit has to go to this PC defense. They are causing them to make mistakes and to not be able to operate as they want. They're doing a good job not only in coverage, but obviously we see in the run game of shutting down their option on the edge as well.
Hedlund on for the 31-yard field goal attempt. And this one is up, and it is good as Wake Forest on the scoreboard for the first time here in 2013. But the Blue Hose still lead at 7-3. 2:16 remaining in our first quarter, and this is the ACC on ESPN. And the Wake Forest faithful not enjoying this one just yet. Presbyterian leading Wake Forest 7-3. Just over 2 minutes to play in our first quarter. Surprised to see Presbyterian's defense, that front 4. So far they've been up to the challenge against this veteran Wake Forest offensive line, Brian.
They've done a really good job, and those cornerbacks are locking down coverage on the edges, and so it's a great formula. Seems to be working well for the PC Blue Hose.
Hedlund pounds this one into the end zone, and we remind you, Saturday Night Football on ABC. It's coming your way as ABC kicks off under the lights in Death Valley as senior quarterback Aaron Murray leads the 5th-ranked Georgia Bulldogs against Taj Boyd and the number 8 Tigers. It's 2 of the nation's top signal callers and the most prolific offenses in a key early season clash. Saturday Night Football presented by Windows as part of Dick's Sporting Goods Kickoff Week. Georgia versus Clemson, Saturday at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. When you talk about signal callers, Tanner Price, Taj Boyd, 2 of the best in the country. Boyd being mentioned as a potential Heisman Trophy contender this year. Garrett Main's in the game at quarterback. Handoff, Rouse. A gain of 1, and if you're just joining us, check out some of these key plays. We've seen a lot of big plays in the early going. Rouse, the 66-yard scamper along the left side. That would set up this 1-yard scoring strike to Hurley.
Defense has done their part. Offense got to keep it going. Move the chains.
On second down, Garrett. Safe pass in the flats. Antigua with the reception. First time we've called his number tonight. 6'4", 200-pound junior out of Tampa. Third down and 5 coming up. And the lights just went off here in Winston-Salem.
Yeah, it got a little dark really quick.
Not an issue just yet, but it could be in the next half hour. Don't adjust your computer screen just yet. Third down and 5, big play. Garrett, a bullet pass, and it's going to be picked off. First turnover of the ball game as Mike Olson brings in the interception. And a huge swing in momentum. This time it favors the Demon Deacons.
Kind of a safe play there, went short and underneath. Even if he would have made the catch, would have been short of the chains, but just you got to haul that one in regardless of where it is, and just a costly turnover.
Now, Jim Grove said in preseason camp Olson was playing like his hair was on fire, and it's certainly to be the case there.
Well, you can split hairs and say there was a little bit too much mustard on that ball. I used to accuse Dan Marino of that, but it really does not matter when it hits your hands. You've got to make the play. That's what your job is. That's why they're giving you that scholarship.
And Wake Forest will call a timeout. You mentioned Garrett had the stronger arm of the two quarterbacks for PC. You mentioned too much mustard on that pass. He'll learn from that one. 1:21 remaining in the first quarter. Thus far, it's been a shocker, but the Demon Deacons trying to grab momentum here. The line of scrimmage has been very impressive to me for the Blue Hose. Not something we expected.
No, you wouldn't. They're a lighter group. They're not as big. They're not as. It's just I did not expect it. We talked about it before we came on air, and it's nice to see though, because you always want to root for the underdog, and obviously they're doing a very good job of controlling the line of scrimmage on offense and defense, opening up holes on offense and digging their heels in defensively, which obviously is the recipe for success. It's just a question of maintaining it, staying with the game plan, and moving the chains. You can't keep having 3 and outs to put your defense back on the field. That's asking a lot of them.
Our officiating crew talking with both sides as the lights are on here at Deacon Tower. Right above us here in the press box on the opposite side of the field. Lights were shut off about 5 minutes ago. It is the opening night. Even the facility sometimes have some of the jitterbugs.
That's right. They're screwing things up every now and again too. You just never know. But you know, Coach Grove has to be wondering, a group that comes out like this and how they're going to respond. This is a character moment.
48 seconds.
So Angela Mallon down on the sidelines tracking down this story right now. And from what we're hearing, the lights have gone out. They're going to play until the end of the first quarter, these final 47 seconds. And then they're going to have a 30-minute delay as the banks of lights directly across the way are warming up, getting set to be cut back on. So we're going to have a delay, it looks like, here on opening night.
Who knew it took that long for lights to come back on?
Well, you figure with technology these days,
yes.
It's just the flip of a switch.
You'd think.
Price back on the field from the 34. Second straight possession. The Deacons start in PC territory. From the pistol. Here's Reynolds. Shoved out of bounds at the 30, and that'll be a gain of 5. Multiple flags on the field.
83 out there. 10-yard penalty. Replay first down.
Well, those quick screens are working well because they're in man coverage, but you have to sustain blocks out on the edge, and that makes it difficult to hold those for a long period of time. And sometimes you get a little cloth, and they see that, and they're not going to let that happen.
Instead of 2nd and 5, it'll be 1st and 15. Jim Grove has to be asking himself, what in the world is going on? Give Presbyterian a lot of credit. They're playing well. 6 seconds on the play clock. And Price has to burn his second timeout. The Wake Forest out of sync here in the early going. Presbyterian taking advantage. Harold Nichols imploring his team, and with good reason.
Yeah, it seemed kind of odd there, but I guess, you know, like you said, it's the opener. Even getting plays into the game, people just kind of take that for granted. They don't understand the process. Everything that happens on a football field is a process, and you have to go through it and learn as you go. And you cannot simulate everything in practice. You just can't do it. You have to be in a football game, and even with the coaches, getting plays in and out of the game, making sure they got what they like on defense against the play that they're going to call.
Let's check in once again with Angela Mallon. Angela.
Well, I spoke with the head of operations down here on the field, and they said what it is a player safety issue. So they're going to play out this 16 seconds, and then they'll shut it down until they can figure out the situation with the scoreboard and the lights. The good news is the coaches' headsets are on battery backup, so it didn't affect them. But again, it's a safety issue, and after these 16 seconds, we'll go to a break until it's all fixed, guys.
Good work, Angela. So the final 16 seconds of our first quarter. As Price out of the pistol. Pass will be complete and across the 30-yard line. Jared Crump brings it in. He'll get all those penalty yards right back. That'll be the final play of our first quarter. And the Presbyterian Blue Hose right now shocking Wake Forest 7-3. Deacons will have the football at the 29-yard line when our second quarter resumes. Before we go anywhere, we'll tell you this. There's going to be a brief delay as these banks of lights across the way begin to warm up and get set to be cut back on. Exciting first quarters in the books. Presbyterian, the 7-3 lead over Wake Forest. Our second quarter, and much more headed your way right after this. And welcome back to BB&T Field here in Winston-Salem. Presbyterian, an early 7-3 lead over Wake Forest. Ryan Kinchin, Roy Philpott, Angela Mallon back here with you. Opening night, and perhaps some opening night jitters not only for the Demon Deacons but also for the facilities, specifically the lights here in our first quarter as we have a brief delay, Brian.
Yeah, I'm sure Coach Harold Nichols is not real happy. Momentum is a lot of part of a game every time you line it up, and you never like to see a cease in play, and certainly this is not something I'm sure he's happy about. But inevitably, that's the way it works. And here's how we got to where we are right now. Here's the highlights of the first quarter of play.
A lot of big plays right out of the gate, starting with DeMarcus Rouse, a 66-yard run. Well,
we knew he was the guy who was going to make an impact. He takes the stretch to the right, cuts back, sees daylight. It's a nice little run, and then the play action play here to Hurley, the big tight end, hauls it in, getting the momentum in their favor.
That gave the Blue Hose the lead. Defenses were playing well, then all of a sudden the lights go out. Elevator's not working here in the press box. Internet has gone down. Harold Nichols is trying to figure out what's going on. Officials with a good laugh, and we're about 15 minutes away from our second quarter. Presbyterian 81 total yards of offense. Price has started strong. He's yet to reach pay dirt.
Yeah, they've got yardage, but yardage doesn't mean really much. Statistics aren't the name of the game. It's points on the board, which they aren't doing a great job of, but it's early on in the game. Early, we're going to have a fresh start. Momentum is killed for everyone across the board. It's a new day when we get the lights back on.
And with more on the lights, we check in once again with Angela Mallon.
Thank you, Roy. Just to recap, it is a player safety issue. And as Roy said, a 20-minute delay. We're about 5 minutes into that now. And as you can see behind me, the lights are popping on about one at a time, very slowly. But within 15 minutes, play should be resumed. And as you can hear the cheer in the background, the scoreboard is now up and running, so that's good news as well. And the reason the headsets did not go out for the coaches is because they're on battery backup. So Wake Forest has come a long way in terms of their entire facilities, a gorgeous facility here tonight. And it looks like we'll be back up and running in about 15 minutes, Roy.
Thank you, Angela. And Brian, you know as well as anyone, we look back to this past Super Bowl, the lights went out and all of a sudden momentum changes hands. This could play into Wake Forest's favor by the time we get back to our second quarter. Yeah,
that's a very distinct possibility. And like I said, I just don't think Coach Nichols is very happy about that. But it is a beautiful night. It's the atmosphere is incredible. The stadium is beautiful. It's a shame that it happens, but hey, we get to spend a little more time here at this beautiful venue.
That's exactly right. Well, we'll step aside one final time. Our second quarter get underway here in about 15 minutes. As soon as the lights warm up, we'll be back. Our second quarter coming up. 7-3 our score. Presbyterian with the lead over Wake Forest. Okay, so we're back and we've got a clarification. The lights are on. The referees have deemed this facility enough light, and we are ready to go here in our second quarter. That was the first play. Wake Forest facing a second down, and now we'll look at a third down and short. Deacons trailing Presbyterian 7-3. If you're just joining us, a host of big plays already. Price out of the pistol. That's Armstrong, the freshman, in motion, and here comes the option. Armstrong across the 20, and that'll be a Deacon first down.
Good call there. Misdirection option. Safe call. Getting the first down. Keeping the drive moving. Keeping the chains moving. Keeping the drive alive.
Armstrong, a freshman, 5'9", 165 pounds, out of Orlando, Florida. Jim Grove doesn't like to play true freshmen, but he may play more this season than in any year in recent memory.
Well, the big guy up front, the center, 51, Corey Helms, true freshman. Big guy.
Price again, this time going to throw it. End zone, touchdown, Deacons. That's Spencer Bishop. A 20-yard scoring strike from the senior Tanner Price, and Wake Forest with its first lead of the game.
Beautifully executed there. The wheel route on the edge, right up the boundary. Caught Presbyterian, no help over the top. They've been gambling all day and been doing a good job of it, but it didn't pay off there. They got bit a little bit.
Price threw 12 touchdowns a season ago, his first one in 2013. Edlin on for the extra point. Kick is up, and it is good. Our new score with 13:42 remaining in the first half. Wake Forest leading Presbyterian 10-7. And it was Tanner Price, the 20-yard score to Spencer Bishop. Back with more right after this. 5-play, 34-yard scoring drive as Spencer Bishop reaches the end zone for the first time this season for Wake Forest. 10-7. Demon Deacons now with their first lead. Edlin boots it into the end zone. And here comes LaQuay Mays as he crosses the 20 to the 22 as we check in once again with Angela Mallett.
Well, guys, I spoke with head umpire Jerry Magdalenas, and he said there's no official rule for this. Again, it's a player safety issue. Once they deemed the 30-minute break and then realized the lights were popping back on, they spoke to each coach. Each coach was comfortable playing. They said, well, we'll take a 3-minute stretch break. And, guys, that's why they're back on the field now.
Good to shorten that delay as much as possible. And here comes Tam Garrett.
We talked about those lights going out and the momentum shift. Now that even hampers it even more so now with Wake Forest making the drive and scoring the 6 points.
Garrett's shotgun, quick completion. That'll be a gain of 6. Crossing the 25. The Arthur Williams.
Nice clean decision there. Ball comes out of his hand quick. They need to respond to what they just saw.
You see a lot of teams now starting to do this, operating the fast-paced no-huddle attack. If they don't like what they see, they look to the sidelines.
I call it the prairie dog offense. They all stick their heads out and check the sidelines. It's funny, but it works.
It puts a lot of pressure on the opposing defense as well. Mackey in motion. Handoff right up the gut, close to first down yardage. Right, very important for this PC offense to be able to establish itself on the ground. Really didn't do it all that great last year.
No, they did, but as we talked about earlier, Coach Harrell has an offensive line that he likes. They are very experienced. They're doing a great job up front. Big Sterling Jenkins, number 77, running right behind him, and just getting the yardage. You know, this is a good situation. It's third and short. You get 3 or 4 yards. That's all you need to sustain drives.
Third down and inches. Big play for the Wake Forest defense. Even bigger for Presbyterian. Fumbled snap. Wake Forest has it. Second turnover of the game for the Blue Hose. And a costly one at that. Coming out of there with the football is Justin Jackson.
Well, that's just a simple quarterback center exchange. Looks like the right guard might have got his hip on that football, but nonetheless, you just can't let things like that happen. Very, very costly turnover.
And what was that we talked about with momentum? Right after the brief delay, Wake Forest a touchdown, Presbyterian a turnover, and the Demon Deacons have all the momentum in the world. Third straight possession inside of PC territory as this drive begins once again. Harris. Up to the 22.
It's a very, very difficult time for this PC defense now. They've got to stop hanging their heads. They've had a few miscues, but they got to dig their heels in now and play just good, solid football and not get too discouraged by what Wake Forest is doing. Wake Forest is a bigger, stronger football team. They're going to get some wins every now and again, but they've got to have theirs as well.
2nd and 5. Reynolds in motion. Here comes the option. And a nice job by the Blue Hose defense. Will stack Price up after a gain of about 2. Well, this PC defense under the direction of a new coordinator this season, and he's a familiar face for a Blue Hose fan, Tommy Spangler. 6-year head coach for Presbyterian. Earlier in this last decade, has since taken over at Louisiana Tech as the defensive coordinator for about 7 years. Now is back. He's done a great job trying to instill some of the fundamentals back with this program. Defensively really struggled a year ago. 3rd down and 3 as you get a look at Spangler. And Price right at the sticks.
Coach Nichols earlier in the week talked about how they needed to have more turnovers, create more turnovers. They talked about when Spangler comes back, he's more of a detailed guy. Get him to line up in the right spots and to play fast. And if you can do those 2 simple things, how much more effective you could be as a defense.
Here comes a measurement. For Spangler to come back, you got to think it means so much to the Blue Hose faithful as they're still trying to make this transition to Division I level, and it's not easy. Started 3 years ago here in Winston-Salem. And as Harold Nichols told us this week, his team was in diapers the last trip up here. It's 4th down and short coming up for Wake Forest. This program trying to grow up right before our very eyes. Close game here tonight would be a long ways in doing that.
Without a doubt, I think this is a decision, tough decision, but you know, they've got momentum in their favor. Either way, they have field position, regardless of how it comes out. I think it's a good opportunity. Take the 4th down chance. Half yard, maybe even a foot, I'd say.
4th and inches coming up as we take a look at our first 4 possessions. Wake Forest, new offense, trying to find some rhythm and maybe starting to do so right now. Fourth and inches. Price straight ahead. It'll get the first down.
Good safe call, not a difficult one. You got bigger guys up front. You're basically just leaning for the first down. Smart, high percentage play. PC's just really they've got to fight off this discouragement they're having here because had such a great coming out, but they've got to just keep playing football, do their jobs, be disciplined in their assignments.
pistol, and here comes the option as Price tackled the line of scrimmage. Well, after the last Presbyterian turnover, here was the touchdown.
Spencer Bishop sees no one's covering him, kind of runs a lazy little wheel route there, wide open. Good job of laying it in. Easy 6.
And who said the tight end is lost in college football? Tight ends for both squads catching scores already.
I always like to see tight ends prosper.
Puts a smile on your face, doesn't it?
Yes, sir.
All those years in the NFL. Here comes the option. Presbyterian discipline. Deron Dickey with the stop. You talk about playing assignment football. PC has to do it when you're facing an option-oriented attack. Thought we would see that, and thus far we have.
Yeah, and I like that they ran it into the boundary. A lot of times, especially high school football, but even some in college, all coaches have a tendency to run to the wide side of the field. I like the option into the boundary, even though it shrinks your field a little bit. It kind of keeps the defense guessing. But now you're in a 3rd and long. Quick screen to the wide receiver, safe play. You still get 3 out of it if it doesn't work out. If it does, you get 6 and maybe a first down.
On 3rd down, Price. The pump fake. Extending the play. End zone, and it's incomplete. Looking for his wide receiver, cutting across the middle, and once again Presbyterian all over that play. Kenyon Brown able to get his big mitts in there to bat that one away at the last second.
I like the fact he's keeping the play alive, but risky, rolling to the right. Left-handed passer across the field, high percentage pick throw there, but he got away with it. They'll still get a shot at 3. He's very lucky.
Jonathan Williams, the intended receiver. Here comes another 31-yard field goal attempt, and Headland misses his 2nd field goal of the evening. Another big stop for the Presbyterian defense.
I'm telling you, Coach Grove talked about this at the end of last year. Special teams are a problem. Looks like they're still struggling a bit there.
Wake Forest still leads Presbyterian 10-7. More after this. We are back. 2nd quarter continues. 8:12 remaining in our first half as Presbyterian takes over, trailing by 3. Handoff, that's Rouse as he lost his footing. Bring it back to the line of scrimmage. Well, Brian, one name we haven't heard a lot from just yet is Nikita Whitlock, the 2nd-team All-ACC performer from last year's squad and a preseason All-ACC pick this year. You see him lining up right over the center, undersized but perhaps undervalued by many scouts.
Yeah, he was a linebacker in high school, and he's a very mobile guy, very explosive as he comes off the ball, but has not done much to disrupt the play this tonight.
Carrick to the 30. That'll be close to a first down. He's got his man. Presbyterian trying to get the chains moving once again. As Antigua, his 2nd catch of the night. Numbers from a year ago were actually down from his sophomore campaign, and big things expected from him this year. And he'll line up all over the field. Big play here for the Blue Hose. 3rd down and short. Flag on the play. Rouse will have enough yardage for the first down as he crosses the 30. Check the penalty.
Illegal formation on the offense. 5 men in the backfield. 5-yard penalty. Replay 3rd down.
Take a look at those first 4 possessions for the Blue Hose. Instant success, but since then, trying to find that rhythm.
Yeah, that 66-yard run early counts for a lot of their offensive production. But they had it going on early on and seem to be stalling out now. But just got to stick with the game plan and do what they do and not have penalties like that. That's a huge mistake that puts them now in 3rd and 6 instead of 3rd and short.
On 3rd down, straight ahead is Rouse, nothing doing. As Wake Forest Able to hold once again. The big uglies up front doing their job as we have another look.
Well, we talked about Whitlock just a minute ago, doing his job occupying the center. Safe play on Presbyterian's part. Obviously not wanting to risk a turnover, keeping the ball on the ground at 3rd and 6.
Chris Redding on the stop, and it'll be 4th down. Dorr back on to punt this one out of there. A 44-yard punt. And dancing around is Kevin Johnson. Nice return as he crosses the 35. And we remind you, Dick's Sporting Goods kickoff week continues this Saturday night at 5:30. A.J. McCarron and the top-ranked Crimson Tide square off against Logan Thomas and the Hokies. Then at 9, Les Miles' 12th-ranked Tigers take on Gary Patterson and the number 20 Horned Frogs. College football primetime presented by Hampton Hotels. Alabama, Virginia Tech at 5:30. LSU, TCU at 9 Saturday on ESPN and also live on WatchESPN.com.
Seems like everybody's chasing Alabama at the top. Seems like it's them and everybody else.
What do you think? Can they three-peat this season?
That's a tough order, but obviously Saban has some kind of potion that seems to be working.
Price out of the pistol, going deep once again. Contact, it'll be caught inside the 15 and finally dragged down at the 10. It's Jonathan Williams. His second big reception of the night, and the Demon Deacons in business once again after a gain of 51 yards.
Well, this is the second time that Wake Forest has gone right down the middle of the field because there is no help. They're in zero coverage. They're manned up. It's not a bad job of coverage, but he leads them inside. Almost impossible to defend a good throw and a good catch.
Williams now 3 receptions, 99 yards. And he's been the story here in our first half. Tanner Price starting to warm up as well. Here's Harris as he plows straight ahead, giving the gain of 4.
We talked about it in the opener, what Price is capable of. He's a very experienced passer. But obviously getting into a rhythm now, and obviously makes it easier to run the football when you can throw it down the middle. And one offsets the other, and getting that balanced look at what we talked about, that philosophy of is it going to pay off, and they seem to be able to settle in with it. And it does help when your quarterback throws balls down the middle of the field on a number of occasions.
2nd down and 6. Harris again. This time off left tackle, nothing doing. Once again, PC's defense at the line of scrimmage doing a great job. You know, Jim Grobe studied under Fisher DeBerry at Air Force for a number of years before taking over at Ohio. So you talk about the run-pass balance. This is very critical to him this season, and it's critical for Wake Forest. They're going to get back to the postseason.
Yeah, I like what he said about DeBerry, how he, Grobe is an old school coach. He went to Air Force, that's what he's like. But he also talked about putting his arms around the kids and being able to love on them just at the same time. He said he learned that from Coach DeBerry. And so for me, as a player, I think that's awesome that he's able to do that and able to keep that neutrality with his players.
Straight ahead, Harris on 3rd down and short. And Brian, he's going to be 2 yards short of the first down. And decision time once again for Grove.
They've gone real conservative here. They get the big play, and now they're just going to try to put it on the ground and knock it in, but it's not that easy. The PC Blue Hose is doing a great job up front defensively of shutting down that running game. They've got to do something in the air. I don't know if they can. I don't know if we risk it here. I think you take the 3 points and you walk away, but
keep in mind Headland's 1 for 3 with his field goals thus far. And that's got to be playing into this call right now. 4th down and short. Demon Deacons going for it. Price on the keeper. Tanner Price, touchdown. Nothing fancy about that one. That's just Tanner Price, the senior, taking over.
Keeping it on the ground for the 4th straight time. The read option. Sells the sweep. Sticks it in his gut, pulls it out. Nice call. Gutsy call.
Wake Forest taking the 17-7 lead as the Demon Deacons recapturing momentum here in our 2nd quarter. 3:18 remaining in the first half. Tanner Price accounting for his 2nd touchdown of the night. Back here at BB&T Field, Wake Forest, a 2-score advantage over Presbyterian. 3:18 remaining in our first half. Alongside of Brian Kitchen, a former Super Bowl world champion with the New England Patriots back in 2004. Roy Philpott in the booth with you tonight. And up in a few minutes, we'll check in once again with Angela Mallon down on the sidelines. It's been an eventful first half if you're just tuning in. A brief delay due to the lights being cut off here at BB&T Field. We've had a lot of big plays on both sides. Presbyterian watching that 7-point advantage quickly erased. And from the end zone, daylight along the right side. As LaQuay Mays shoved out of bounds after a 33-yard gain. We'll step aside. More of our first half headed your way in Winston-Salem after this. We are back. 3:11 remaining in our first half. An important possession here for Presbyterian, trailing by 10. They've moved the football early in this game, have cooled off as of late. What Harold Nichols has up his sleeve here. Mays gets the handoff, give him a gain of 3.
Coming out a little conservative to start. You don't want to be too risky. You don't want to give them a turnover, give them another opportunity. But this is a big drive. It would be nice to be able to get some points on the board, even to get some first downs, just to gain some confidence as an offense.
Think about the last time these two teams squared off 3 years ago. It was 35-7 at halftime. Presbyterian already making up some ground compared to that matchup. On second down. Play action. Garrett going deep, double coverage, and it's going to be picked off. A great play. That's Kevin Johnson, one of the top quarterbacks in the ACC a season ago. Great athleticism right there, Brian.
Yeah, they run a 2-receiver route, which with play action, it doesn't make sense. There was a safety over the top, and they were in man coverage. A very ill-advised throw. Obviously getting nothing out of it, but at the same time, it gives them good field position to, I guess, prevent a score before the half, but just not a positive play that you don't want that to happen late in a half. Not a whole lot of momentum. That certainly is not helping your cause.
Johnson, the junior out of Clarksville, Maryland, 3 interceptions a season ago, and that's the 3rd turnover this game for the Blue Hose. Can't have that when you're trying to upset a team like Wake Forest. There's Williams again, and he'll have enough for the first down after this shake and bake. How impressive has Williams been thus far in this first half?
Look at the turnover scenario there.
Price going deep once again. Williams once again, and that's another catch. Down the right sideline and tiptoeing his way for another Wake Forest first down. And how about Jonathan Williams?
Nice play on the football. Problem is he got out of bounds on the way down there. Can't do that. Can't get out of the field of play and come back in and make the play there.
Defense, number 22. Penalties declined.
I think he was pushed out of bounds by the defender.
That would help.
Take another look at it. Harold Nichols wondering what's going on himself. Look at the top of your screen here.
Good job even getting held up. Comes underneath it, makes a good play. Yeah, got right there on the border. Great play, great focus.
Gain of 25 yards, and Williams having himself quite a first half. Now 5 catches for a $143. There's Jared Crump, his second catch of the night, and Wake Forest now finding its rhythm. Tanner Price really starting to heat up.
Yeah, doing a good job getting into rhythm. We saw the graphic earlier about the turnovers. Coach Nichols talked about it last year. There were -8, Wake Forest +8. We're seeing that again today.
And here comes the no huddle. Left side, nothing doing with Josh Harris.
It's just tough to win when you turn the football over, especially when you're playing an opponent where you're clearly outmanned. Takes away from that momentum. Go back to that light issue, and ever since then, it's been a different ball game.
On first down, and Price that time off target. Just his 4th incompletion of the night.
I like the thought of what Wake Forest is doing. They're trying to turn the tables, and they're trying to get points on the board themselves, and really kind of starting to stick that knife in. This momentum is just dead for PC. They've got to have a stop here going into the half.
You see the rushing numbers as well. Had that rushing touchdown. Jim Grove has to like that. 2nd and 10. Quick pass to Crump. 3 yards short of the first down.
Made by number 88, Jared Crump.
Price's numbers, Brian, he's got a chance at the end of this season to lead Wake Forest as the 2nd all-time leading passer, trailing only Riley Skinner. That's right there within his grasp.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. We talked about it in the opener. He's just a very, very competent passer. They like to throw the football. They're doing it well now. The run obviously comes off of that.
That's Harris. He'll be short of the first down. Tanner Price already over 200 yards passing here in this first half. And perhaps another 4th down conversion coming up for the Demon Deacons as they'll use their final timeout.
Wake Forest, their final timeout of the half. 30-second timeout.
Well, we'll go back to special teams. Coach Grove said that they were a disaster last year at the end of the season. We saw what happened on those field goals, those 2 pulls, and even the little extra point that we saw right in our last touchdown. He pulled it just a little bit. It almost missed a short little 20-yarder. So I mean, you know, why don't you go for the 4th and 2? Take your chances. I just think it's a high percentage play. We've seen what they've been able to do up front, but we get back to those turnovers. It has just been costly in this game.
3 of them to be exact, and here was the early pick by Olsen. The tip drill coming into play, and then the fumbled quarterback center exchange. Justin Jackson the recovery. Interception by Kevin Johnson. Presbyterian can't have a chance to upset a team like Wake on the road with those kinds of plays.
Yeah, you can't excuse them. That's an ill-advised throw. They deserve that one. The other 2 just a basic center quarterback exchange, but can't let those things. Those are definitely momentum killers. Can't let those things happen.
Also the shank punt as well by Stephen Dorr, the punter for the Blue Hose. And on 4th down, that's going to be a conversion. It's John Armstrong, the true freshman, picks up another first down for the Demon Deacons.
Well, it just seems like a no-brainer on that last play. They're running the ball. They're moving the chains. It's not really that's really not a tough one. They're moving the ball at will. They're kind of getting to a rhythm. PC seems to be dragging a little bit. The defense has been on the field quite a bit here in the 2nd quarter.
Yeah, time of possession now 19:30 to 9:34 in favor of the Deacons. Price. Oh, the siege part. Price still on his feet. Down to the 5-yard line. It'll be 1st and goal. Gain of 17 yards for the senior.
Has no one to look at, goes through his progression. He looks like he's trying to score here. Not just get extra yards. He sees the end zone and is trying to get there.
Shotgun Price. He'll be sacked. And a nice blitz that time by Presbyterian.
That's costly in a 2-minute scenario. Clock keeps running. Got to kill the
Wake out
clock.
of timeouts. That's right. And a fumbled snap. Diving on it is Presbyterian, and that'll be Wake Forest's first turnover of the game, and a very big one at that. Well, it was Ugonna Iko with the tackle of Price for the sack on the previous play, and that created the sense of urgency, and look what happened there.
That's Tanner Price, the senior, 34 starts under his belt. He knows better. Even though you're in a hurry, you still got to stick to fundamentals. You've got to get your hands underneath the center.
So Ugonna Iko on back-to-back plays, keeping Presbyterian right in this ball game as the Blue Hose will kneel down and head to the locker room trailing 17-7. And Brian, they were the big underdog coming into tonight. Thus far, they're hanging right in there with the ACC and with Wake Forest.
Yeah, I think if you would have given them this scenario to start the game, they certainly would take it. A 10-point deficit at halftime is not a bad thing. They played well. They've played solid. A few turnovers have hurt them, but they're still in this ball game. Wake Forest, on the other end, Coach Grove has to be wondering, where's his senior leadership? All these seniors he has coming back on offense and defense. Obviously, we'll see what happens when they come out from the half, whether or not that pays off.
Presbyterian grabbed the early 7-0 lead. Wake Forest with 17 unanswered points, but the Blue Hose with some momentum headed into halftime. We head down now to the sideline. Here's Angela Mallon with Jim Grove.
Coach Grove, you talked about that senior spark. Why do you think it was so hard for these guys to find that and relax in the first half?
Well, I think Presbyterian's playing well. I think, defensively we've played great. We gave up the long run right at the start of the game. Offense, we got to figure some things out. They're doing a really nice job inside on us. We're throwing the ball pretty good. We've got some big plays, but we haven't capitalized on it. So I just feel as much as anything, Presbyterian's playing well.
You talked about installing this new offense. How do you rate Tanner Price's play and Jonathan Williams, the freshman?
Well, Jonathan's made some big plays for us, obviously. Tanner's done some really, really good things. We got to get a little better push up front, I think, and we got to run the ball better. The passing game actually has been pretty good. We got to mix it up a little bit. Hope we'll be able to run it a little better in the second half.
Coach, thank you. Roy?
Angela, thank you. Jim Grove heads to the locker room. His team with a 17-7 advantage, but plenty of work left to be done. Presbyterian, his early touchdown pass. They trail it 17-7. (17-7) our halftime score as we welcome you back here in Winston-Salem. Wake Forest leading Presbyterian. Blue Hose will get the football first to open this second half. Glad you could join us tonight. The opening night of college football here on the campus of Wake Forest University. We've seen a little bit of everything. Brian Kinch and Roy Philpott here with you. And Brian, your impressions from this first half. Presbyterian hanging tough right now with the Deeks.
Yeah, they're doing a good job. They're the smaller school, the smaller kids, but they're playing well. They're doing a good job against the bigger ACC opponent. Just whether or not they can maintain that. They only have a 10-point deficit. We talked about that. That's a big thing for them. They got to come out with some momentum that they lost right when those lights went out in this stadium, pretty much.
Let's take a look at our first half highlights, and there were big plays galore. Starting first for PC, DeMarcus Rouse for 66 yards. That'll set up the first score of the ball game.
Yes, first play did a great job. The O-line up front does a great job of seeing the hole and hitting it, setting up their first score of the game.
Said the tight end is gone in college football. The first of 2 scoring strikes to tight ends here in this ball game as PC takes an early 7-0 lead. Wake Forest took a little bit of time to turn on in this game, and it also took some time for the lights to cut back on after a short delay. It seemed like momentum really started to favor the Deacons, though, after that short delay. Spencer Bishop, the tight end, with a touchdown there.
Right, the tight ends seem to be in play today. Obviously, I talked about it earlier. I like that. That's the position I played, most talented position on the football field. Glad to see them being a big part of our first half.
Presbyterian, a couple of turnovers, and here's Tanner Price, the first of, they're going to make that the second of 2 touchdowns that he was responsible for. And Price, very effective on the ground and through the air. As we take a look at some of our stats, 201 yards passing. Jonathan Williams, the big benefactor, he's been a big story too.
And it's done a good job of setting up the run. Price running it more than he did all last year and really being effective, gaining positive yardage in the first half. And it'll be interesting to see if that maintains or if they stick with a more of a running back centered running game in the second half.
You see the turnovers favoring Wake Forest, obviously. Also the Deacons, 1 of 9 in third down conversions. That's been a big priority this offseason thus far in the first half. That new offense may be still trying to take hold.
Yeah, just trying to work out the kinks. Everybody's trying to get their feet wet. The lights crew as well. Getting plays into the game. We saw that happen earlier. Had a little timeout cost because we didn't get the play in very smoothly. But here's a big possession for Presbyterian here. They got to be able to establish something, even field position early on offensively, to be able to keep pace with this Wake Forest ball club.
The NFL for all of those seasons with so many different teams, the Panthers, the Browns, won a Super Bowl with the New England Patriots. you've been in the locker room. Do you think Jim Grove got into his team a little bit there at halftime?
Yeah, I don't know. There's a whole lot of arms going around the players, as he talked about during the week, about loving on his players, because you got to get in their grill a little bit, because obviously it's not the start he wanted. Even though they are winning the ball game, I think he expected more dominance from his football team. I'm sure he's hoping for that in the second half.
Hedlund kicks it away, and we are underway. Second half action at BB&T Field. Mays from the 3. And Mays will be stacked up at the 12-yard line. Angela Mallon had a chance to catch up with Harold Nichols a few minutes ago. Angela.
Well, Coach Nichols was upbeat as he was coming out of the locker room, and he said his biggest disappointment were the turnovers. He said his offense put his defense in a really tough spot, and he said in the second half they've really got to string together those first downs so they can have longer drives. And then he smiled right before he jogged off, saying, this right here is a game of confidence, and it's going to be a matter of who gets that momentum early in the second half. Roy?
Thank you, Angela. Uncle Mo, always big in football. Let's see if PC can grab it early. Mackey in motion. Garrett with all kinds of time. Going deep, and it's going to be broken up. Had a man breaking open momentarily. Kevin Johnson, tied for first nationally in passes defended a year ago. A great job there.
Yeah, he does a good job. PC just taking a shot down the field. Try to get a good big play early. Doesn't pay off. Puts them behind the chains. Now they got a little catch-up work to do.
Antigua, the intended receiver. You see the
those
first
numbers,
drive.
That tells the story. That one play is basically the bulk of their offense in the entire first half.
Second down and 10. Handoff left side. Rouse. And he'll be stacked up at the line. Brandon Chubb in on the stop. Chubb, no stranger to football. His father played at Georgia from 85 to 88.
12th round draft pick, too.
That's right.
He was 89. I was 88.
Probably had an encounter or two with him over
That's right.
that period of time. Big third down. Swing pass, nothing doing as he'll be brought down in the backfield. Rouse will be tackled, and he'll lose a yard, and that's Zach Thompson. No momentum here in the early going. Wake Forest trying to capitalize with a quick 3 and out.
Well, as upbeat as the coach was, it doesn't look like the players are. They look really flat. That possession was just didn't have anything to it. I don't think they know what they're trying to do offensively. I think they're still trying to figure that out.
Wilson back on to punt this one out of his own end zone. Good kick. It'll be fielded at the 40 by Johnson. A return of 7 yards, and Wake Forest again will set up shop in Presbyterian territory.
Kevin Johnson with the return. Sets up by number 22, Kevin Crawford.
Just a little dump off there. Just look, the high percentage throw, but it's not. It's when you're behind the chains, you can't do that. The defense makes a great play. Look at the excitement by Wake Forest. They're kind of taking command of this ball game.
First possession of the second half for Tanner Price. You see the numbers starting to become effective on the ground. Talk to NFL scouts with Price. He's got pretty good arm strength. He's being talked about as a draftable player. See what happens in his senior season, and it starts tonight. That one nearly picked off. He telegraphed that one.
That was a gift. That was a gift. When you look at Price, 6'2", 205. He's a little bit small for an NFL prototype, but right here just doesn't see him coming in underneath the corner, just biting, telegraphing that throw.
Kevin Crawford's had himself a pretty strong night. 6 foot, 180-pound redshirt sophomore. I mentioned both of these quarterbacks for Presbyterian with just 2 combined starts coming into this ball game. On second down, Orville Reynolds.
I'm really impressed with the corners. They've done a really great job. We were concerned going in. Didn't have a whole lot of experience, but they're playing man coverage out on the edge a lot of the time early in the first half and really shutting down that passing game. They gave them the two balls over the top because they have no help deep, and that's the risk you take when you play man coverage. You roll the dice. Win some and lose some.
An important third down coming up for the Blue Hose defense, trailing by 10. Shotgun Price, here comes the blitz. Price, the incomplete, broken up. And another nice play by that Presbyterian defense. Fred Marshall, the strong safety, breaks up the pass, and it'll be fourth down.
Another good job, man-to-man coverage across the route. He has nowhere to go. He's looking around. He's getting out of the pocket. Pretty decent throw. Defended really well. I've been impressed. I did not think that we would see this kind of play. I didn't think we would see man-to-man coverage that much tonight with these cornerbacks because they were so inexperienced. But they're doing a really great job. Needed that stop.
Kennel on to punt this one away. Second punt of the night. They'll pin Presbyterian inside its own 20-yard line. First down and 10 for the Blue Hose. 12:28 remaining in our third quarter. When we come back, you're watching the ACC on ESPN. Back here at BB&T Field, Wake Forest leading Presbyterian 17-7. Brian Kinchin, Roy Philpott, Angela Mallon here with you. And Brian, Presbyterian just one first down in this game thus far compared to 14 for Wake Forest. They have to find something offensively that works.
Yeah, they just don't. I don't think they know what they're trying to do. They look like they have no real commitment to anything, and they can't really do anything. Wake Forest is really keeping them from really taking control and even establishing a drive at all. Nice first play out the gate, gets them ahead of the chains. But they look flat. They need to get something going here. A couple of first downs. They're still in this ball game. I know they kind of got a little bit momentum shift late in that first half, but they've got to get something established here. Be able to get Wake Forest back on their heels just a touch.
I know we saw DeMarcus Rouse with that last carry. It'll put Presbyterian in second down and short. Rouse's numbers look very good with that 66-yard scamper. Since then, really haven't done much of anything.
Yeah, take it out of the equation. There's not much there.
Go get it, go get it, go get it.
Pass is going to be picked off, and he telegraphed that one. Demon Deacons, second interception of the ball game, and that's going to be a Wake Forest touchdown. And a huge mistake by Tam Garrett. As sitting there waiting for it was Brandon Chubb.
Well, I think everybody saw that when I was sitting there watching the slant. I was like, please don't throw it. But he did, and good job of awareness and being able to make the play. That's not easy. There's a reason guys are on defense, and it's normally not because they have good hands. So it's nice to see a linebacker being able to haul it in, and not only that, but get 6 out of it.
Chubb led Wake Forest with 8 special team tackles a season ago. As we mentioned, his father lettered for the Georgia Bulldogs back in the late 80s. He was drafted by the New England Patriots. Old Dad's got to be proud after that one. A 29-yard interception return for a touchdown. Brandon Chubb, the redshirt sophomore from Marietta, Georgia. And Wake Forest starting to take control as the Demon Deacons lead it 24-7. Back here in Winston-Salem, third quarter action, 11:33 remaining. Wake Forest with a 17-point lead. And turnovers really starting to rear their ugly head against Presbyterian. Mays from inside the 5 will be tripped up as PC takes over first and 10. He joined us late here. 4 turnovers, including a couple of interceptions by the Wake Forest inside backers. Justin Jackson getting in on the action in the first half as well. This Wake Forest secondary, Brian, has played very strong so far tonight.
Yeah, double coverage there, just a bad decision. And then the easy interception on the slant route. Should not have thrown those 2 balls.
You know, you can get away with one or two, but you've got 4 of those on the day. It's tough to recover from.
Ryan Knorr, the Wake Forest defensive coordinator, has to like what he's seen thus far. PC with just 1 first down in this game and nothing doing on first down there. That would be a loss of a yard.
Well, the running backs just running tentative, just knowing they're going to get hit. Not even an ounce of hope that they're going to be able to break one or at least gain 3 yards is what they need to stay ahead of the chains.
Coach has to be pleased with those numbers. 2nd down and long. You surprised we haven't seen the other quarterback for the Blue Hose, Caleb Griffin. Garrick really hasn't played poorly, but the offense looking for a spark.
Yeah, they need something. They're just a little bit flat. Thought maybe we'd see him.
A near interception there as Garrick has a gunslinger's mentality.
Right. I think because whoever he goes with, I think he sticks with. Last year we saw it with the 5 starts each kid got. I don't think he's so quick to pull the quarterback, but they got to do something here. This is a no-win situation for them. They need to have something established offensively, be able to move the chains, and this puts them in another 3rd and long.
There you get a look at Caleb Griffin. Has to be wondering when he's going to get an opportunity. 5 starts a season ago. See what Harold Nichols decides to do. Dump off pass across the middle. That's Mays. Nothing doing.
You just can't. You can't throw that. That's a crossing. That's a 2-yard crossing route. What are they hoping to gain out of that? And I realize they're looking for about an 8 or 9 yard gain, but you just can't do that with a Wake defense like that, who's as fast and as experienced as they are. It's just not going to work. You have to be able to move the ball downfield.
4-3 and out for PC, and now the punt team back on the field. It's Dorr from his own 10-yard line. Late contact and a flag will be thrown. We'll see if it's roughing or a personal foul. They make that running into the kicker or a personal foul. A net of 44 yards on the punt. And they'll be running into the kicker, so Wake Forest should maintain possession.
Running into the kicker, number 40 of the defense. That 5-yard penalty will be added on to the end of the run. Will be first down, Wake Forest.
Harold Nichols hoping for the personal foul call. Take another look. Wake Forest just blew up the upbacks that time.
Well, it's a first down. Either way, take what you can get.
Tanner Price back onto the field. PC still searching for offense, and Wake Forest now leading by 17. Reynolds in motion. Here comes the end around left side. A gain of 6. The big story thus far, if you joined us late, the redshirt freshman wide receiver Jonathan Williams, 6 feet 4 inches tall, 180 pounds, playing in his first collegiate football game. About 5 catches for nearly 150 yards thus far.
Well, with Campanaro out hurt with that hamstring injury, he's sure seizing the opportunity he has to make some big plays, and not just that, making really good catches. Those aren't everyday elementary catches. He's making some really nice catches on the edge there.
2nd down, Harris tackled short of the stick.
The ball carrier.
They'll bring up 3rd down and short.
Tipped up by number 32, Donnell Williams.
There's Campanaro. You got to think that he's licking his chops wishing he was out there tonight.
Well, it's a tough thing sitting on the sidelines when you're hurt. Seeing your teammates out there working and you can't be there, especially being the opener. Waited a long time for this one. And to tweak a hamstring during the week, that's not a lot of fun for him, I imagine.
Williams from Mays High School in Atlanta. Campanaro expected to be a first-team All-ACC player this year. Armstrong around the left end, and he'll pick up a first down. What do you think of Tanner Price and what we've seen from him tonight? We've seen a little nice mix, running, throwing. Handoff here to Armstrong, the freshman back. But Price, I think, has been steady Eddie this evening.
Yeah, he's done a good job. He's a very dependable, very capable passer. He's shown that tonight. It took him a while to get into his rhythm, though. And the big plays down the center of the field obviously opened up the short passing game and certainly the running game.
DeAndre Martin checks in the game behind Price in the pistol and gets the call. Now Martin, the more bruising back, 6'2", 235 out of Miami. Played fullback some last year and gives Jim Grove, I think, a nice 1-2 punch in the backfield if needed.
Yeah, it's really hard to be really imaginative in the spread offense when you're running the football. When you're in the standard eye, you can miss the rec, you can counter, you can run power with you have a fullback leading. It's just a little bit more difficult when you're spread out like that because the backs are always moving sideways, and the only real counter that you get out of it is if the quarterback keeps it and pulls it the other way. So, you know, they don't really seem to have a whole lot they can do with their running game. But what they do, they get a few yards and they kind of got to figure it out as they go.
Fake to Reynolds. Price going deep. Here's Williams once again at the 20 and broken up. A nice defensive play once again by the PC secondary. And this time the Blue Hose able to hold Williams without the catch.
Well, I think they're seeing that they don't have a center. They don't have a safety in the middle of the field. This is the same play we've seen twice early on that they were successful in, where they don't have to worry about putting air underneath the football down the middle of the field. The coaches are seeing that and calling that number. And it's hard when you leave those corners in man coverage and no help over the top.
Jonquil Byers coverage deep down the field. A sophomore from Gaffney, South Carolina, is Price. Hurried with the throw, and that'll be incomplete. Reynolds wanted pass interference after contact.
Well, again, we had that zero coverage, and they're just trying to. If he would have been able to break more out of that move he made, it was there. They just missed timing. Tanner thought he was going one way, and he went another.
Blue Hose defense holds. Here's Kennel. Kennel last season, Brian punted an ACC record 95 times. It's a great average at over 40 yards per punt, but if you're Jim Grove, you don't want to see him out there that many times this year.
That's a lot of work. A lot of work.
This one off the side of his foot. A 32-yard punt. And our score with 7:22 remaining here in our third quarter. Wake Forest 24-7 lead against Presbyterian. This is the ACC on ESPN. 7:22 remaining, third quarter action here in Winston-Salem. 24-7 Wake Forest with the lead. Alongside a former New England Patriot tight end and Super Bowl champion Brian Kitchen. Roy Philpott in the booth with you tonight. Angela Mallon down on the sidelines. We'll check in with her in a few minutes. Presbyterian football in search of a spark. On first down, here's Rouse left side. Garrick remains the quarterback. Certainly Presbyterian has done a nice job in trying to hang tough with the Demon Deacons thus far. At some point you have to start to take some chances down the field, don't you?
Yeah, they do. They're trying to stick with the game plan and run the football, and you know, that's really kind of to the point now where you got to kind of abandon that. But what's the answer? They can't move the football down the field. They're Deacon and Duncan underneath.
Caught by Hallams. Short gain, give them 5, maybe 6. Important third down, and Wake Forest defense starting to pin its ears back.
Well, they know that Presbyterian can't run the football, and so they're banking it all on throwing the football short and underneath. That's all they've been doing. Even in that long third down they had in the previous series, they're dumping it underneath for 2 yards, and you can't get first downs doing that.
Chubb showing blitz, as is Olsen. Drop back in coverage. Incomplete, intended for Hallams. Broken up by Johnson, and Kevin Johnson having himself a whale of a game. An interception. He's broken up 3 passes now. And what we've seen thus far, Brian, is Presbyterian unable to create separation between its wide receivers and the Wake Forest secondary.
Well, those experienced corners, Noel and Johnson, they've done a great job of covering up. They're not giving them much on the edge, and as good as Presbyterian's doing defensively, obviously Wake Forest has stymied them all across the board. Running game, pass game, whatever they're trying to do, they've stifled it.
5th 3 and out by this Wake Forest defense. Door into punt. And hang time as he gets the Presbyterian bounce. Be a 47-yard punt by Dorr as Wake Forest takes over. And we remind you, Saturday Night Football on ABC kicks off under the lights in Death Valley as senior quarterback Aaron Murray leads the 5th-ranked Bulldogs against Taj Boyd and the 8th-ranked Tigers. It's two of the nation's top signal callers and most prolific offenses in a key early season clash. Saturday Night Football presented by Windows as part of Dick's Sporting Goods Kickoff Week. Georgia versus Clemson, Saturday at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ABC. You see the Clemson Tigers pick to win the Atlantic Division. Wake Forest projected 4th by the media. The 2013 ACC football kickoff. Clemson and Georgia, that's an old rivalry that a lot of people are excited about in this part of the country.
Well, I've been a part of a lot of openers, a lot of football seasons that have, opened. And, when you get out of the NFL, you kind of get a little bit of a lull in the fact that, you're not being able to experience it as a player, but certainly being able to now as an announcer. It's a lot of fun being out here opening weekend. A lot of good football, even though a lot of powder puff games where mismatches, but hey, it's still exciting. It's that blood flowing. Still get the goosebumps, still get the chills when kickoff happens.
Handoff, that'll be gain of 3, call it 4. 3rd down and short coming up is Josh Harris trying to get his numbers going a little bit. We haven't heard a lot from Harris tonight. It's been more Rouse with that first big play by PC. Wake Forest is going to get back to the postseason. Harris has got to be a big factor.
Yeah, and we talked about it earlier in the coverage. Their early part of their schedule really bodes well for them to be able to come out the gate 3-1, 4-0. They need that. They need that early. Running game's going to be a huge part of that. I think they've done a decent job of establishing that. Coach Grove talked about it early in the week of trying to do that in this ball game.
3rd down and Price picks up the conversion. It's the third down conversion tonight for this Wake Forest offense.
And they've struggled a bit tonight, not unlike last year either. They were down in the hundreds, 114 I believe it was, 3rd down conversion, something obviously they need to improve on. But when you get behind the chains and you're not able to run the football, that's what happens. Because when you're in 3rd and long, a lot of the times it's very difficult to convert. But obviously they're in a 3rd and short, your percentages increase.
As we get set to move under 4 minutes to play in our 3rd quarter. The fake to Armstrong. Price is going to be pressured and simply gets rid of the ball to avoid the sack. Good edge pressure off the edge that time by Donnell Williams. And Williams, 2011 Big South Rookie of the Year. First time we've called his name tonight, and I'd like to see more big plays out of the Williams camp if you're a fan of the Blue Hose.
Yeah, he's got some speed. One of their captains, one of their leaders. Price has been able to move the football a little bit on the ground with his legs, but when you have speed after him like that, he can't do that. Has to put it in the dirt, does a smart decision.
On 2nd down, pass goes to Reynolds, shoved out of bounds near the 1st down marker.
Pass intended Price is complete to number 5.
And for more on our 3rd down conversions, we've been keeping track all night. We head down to the sidelines in Angela Mallon.
That's right, Roy. When we talked to Coach Grove after practice yesterday, he talked about those 3rd down and short conversions. Said the defense knew they were going to be throwing those dink passes, so they wanted to mix it up a bit. But neither the run nor the pass is working for the Demon Deacons tonight. Only 3 for 13 on 3rd down conversions. So certainly going to be a focus this week in practice as they get ready for ACC opponent Boston College. Roy?
That's a huge game next week, Angela. We appreciate that update. Boston College voted last in the Atlantic Division. That's a winnable game for this Wake Forest team. BC under the direction of Steve Adazio, first-year head coach. You look at this schedule, Boston College next week, Army the week after that. There's some opportunities here to build some early season momentum.
Yeah, and they have ULM down in Louisiana, down my way. So like we said, it's a very, very opportune schedule to be able to come out the gate with 4 wins under your belt. They're going to have that, because the meat of their schedule gets very, very difficult.
Think about Wake Forest being potentially 4-0 and undefeated after the month of September.
Ball carrier is number 5.
More than halfway there to bowl eligibility.
Forced out of bounds by number 34, Brayon Williams.
Yeah, and finishing was their problem last year. They seemed to stumble late in the season. But this team, they're returning a lot of starters, a lot of leaders. I don't think that's going to be an issue for them. But the good start will help. Certainly give them momentum, certainly give them confidence, which is what you always look for in your ball club early on, trying to find your identity and how good you are and what you do well. And it'll help being able to play against lesser opponents and be able to establish yourself somewhat.
On third down, handoff. Pick up the first down is Dominique Gibson. Gibson, the true freshman, picks up the first down as the chains move once again.
They're the big boys at work, trapping and pulling. No matter how big they are, they still got quick feet and can move. And it's really hard to stop that. Late in the game, you get tired, don't have the strength and the weight on your side. It's very, very tough. They got to dig deep.
Ben Emmert with a great block to help spring Gibson for the first down. Wake Forest has a pair of talented fullbacks. Take a look at the first down numbers, not even close.
Well, oftentimes you hear about teams imposing their will, and you think of it as a cliche, but the reality is that's what a football game is. One player against another, and eventually the guy who's winning time and time again, he's just basically defeating him, not just physically, but it becomes mental at that point where you've really got to dig deep and figure out, what am I made of? Can I bounce back from this? Because it's very, very tough. Football is very unique in there. It's a physical sport from start to finish. There is no give.
10th play of the drive is Gibson. Pick up a gain of 4. Now, Jim Grove doesn't like to play true freshmen. We've seen a number of freshmen impact this game tonight. Gibson on the field. We saw the center Corey Helms. He's been an impact player this evening, but the big star, the redshirt freshman Jonathan Williams. And he'll line up at the bottom of your screen. Third down, Price had been batted down at the line of scrimmage, and the Presbyterian defense holds. So Wake Forest now trying to find a rhythm, and give PC some credit. They're still hanging around. They're just a score away from making this game interesting, again, if they can find some offense.
Yeah, Coach Grove gave him credit, as he should have, because it's not necessarily what Wake Forest isn't doing, it's how well Presbyterian is playing. But he talked about early in the week, he wants the 4 best years out of his kids, and he doesn't care if it's early or if it's late. So if he's playing freshman, he's believing that they can have an impact on their season and on their team.
Kennel in, he'll try to pin Presbyterian inside the 1. They'll say it crossed the goal line. 40-yard punt. Come back out to the 20-yard line after the touchback. Well, the Blue Hose celebrating over 100 years of football. A big announcement earlier this summer as they commemorate centennial season, and a lot of people down in Clinton, South Carolina, excited about that. Look at the numbers. Presbyterian very effective at the Division II level, including a #1 ranking back in 1979 in AIA. But surprising numbers there with NFL players and conference championships.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect that. They're stepping up to D1 the last couple of years. A little bit tougher road to hoe.
First down for Garrett, who remains in at quarterback. Tunnel screen.
I like that call. I don't know why we haven't seen that earlier in the game and in earlier downs. We saw it a little bit in later downs, but it's kind of expected, but you'd like to see that on early downs. Get you in a better position to convert, to get first downs. They haven't found much that works.
Third catch of the game for Arthur Williams. That'll bring up second down in inches. And that'll be the final play of our third quarter. Now the Wake Forest Demon Deacons trying to improve to 1-0 on this season. Glad you are with us tonight here in Winston-Salem. Presbyterian will try to mount the comeback when we return for fourth quarter action here at BB&T Field. You're watching the ACC on ESPN. Fourth quarter action headed your way as Wake Forest and Presbyterian kickstart our 2013 efforts for this college football season. Glad you could join us tonight. Presbyterian football, as the Blue Hose run their 32nd play compared to 63 for the Demon Deacons. We've had some turnovers, another near turnover there.
Yeah, just sloppy play. It's just a handoff, and they just can't get it right. Obviously, first game you're going to have that kind of issues. Young quarterback, sophomore quarterback, got to be more tidy with the football. Certainly he knows that. It's not something he's doing intentionally, but
3rd and 2. Play action. Garrick flush from the pocket, and there it is, the second first down of the game for the Blue Hose. The first one came on their first play from scrimmage. PC now will try to attempt to mount a comeback here against the Demon Deacons.
Yeah, that's hard to believe. Does a good job of making something out of nothing. Still, you don't like to see your quarterback get hit like that, especially in the middle of the defense where the big boys are.
After more than 2 quarters of action, PC finally trying to start a drive. This has kind of been the story of the game. You go back to that brief delay we had due to the lights being turned off here at BB&T Field as Harold Nichols looks on, and that was a clear point of the game where we saw momentum begin to change hands and Wake Forest taking over after the fact.
Yeah, the Blue Hose had a burst of excitement there. We were excited, but I guess it was kind of an illusion in a sense that it was just the one play, but it got them on the board and got 6 points up. But the lights going off was like a really long timeout that just seemed to shut down what they did have early in the game. But this is more of what we expected.
Yeah, it is. Josh Banks in on that last stop, Nikita Whitlock. And I think if you're a fan of Presbyterian right now, you take some pride in what you've seen here tonight, because defensively a season ago it was a nightmare at times, and certainly Blue Hose have done a better job there if you can find a way to get the offense clicking. You've got a veteran offensive line to work with. There's certainly some things you can take away from a game like this, and certainly time to try to get back into it. Garrick will be brought down for the sack. Whitlock brings him down, a fumble on the play. And that'll be turnover number 5 by Presbyterian. Well, there he is, Nikita Whitlock. They're talking about him potentially being a draftable defensive tackle, maybe a linebacker the next level. He's a disruptor here at the collegiate level, however.
He does a good job just one-on-one, getting through, disrupting, being patient. Ball comes out as he's right on top of him.
Elbow never came down. Banks with the fumble recovery.
Well, going back to what you talked about, their offense having issues. Wake Forest is a good, solid, veteran, experienced defense, and they're going to take another look at this and challenge this one. I don't blame them. I think that knee might have gone down. Can't really see.
The runner was down.
Looks like that knee might have gone down on the front side of this tackle, but I don't think it did.
It looks like a fumble. It's a better angle. Whitlock threw him across his body. That prevented Garrick from going to the turf.
Yeah, it's out. It's out. Well, how many games have you ever heard of when they turn the ball over? Anybody turns the ball over that much, it's very, very difficult. It's surprising that it's still as close of a ball game as it is with all those turnovers, especially since one of them was a pick six.
Ball clearly out. It'll be Wake Forest football. And for Whitlock, Brian, here's a 5'11", 250-pound nose guard in a 3-4 defensive scheme. You don't see that too often.
I'm impressed. I love the 34. We run it in our high school. I love the 34 defense, but you really have to have the personnel, and he's not the prototype nose that you want for a 34 defense. You need a bigger guy who can stop runs, but evidently his explosiveness and the way that he gets off the football wreaks enough havoc to where they can get away with that. And here, he's just being persistent. That's all that is. They had nobody, he had nobody to get the ball to, and he just kept at it.
After further review, the ruling on the field stands as called. First down, Wake Forest.
The first sack of the season for Whitlock.
With a timeout.
He registered his first career sack against Presbyterian 3 years ago. And expect more from him as we go through this 2013 campaign. Five turnovers now for the Blue Hose. Reynolds in motion.
We had a telestrator I'd show you off to the right. They have nobody in the middle of the field. They're selling it out still. Man coverage and giving up that middle.
Right side and inside the 5 and in for the touchdown. The Deacons extend their lead as Joshua Wilhite, redshirt freshman from Fresno, Texas, with the touchdown.
Just an open field play there. Freezes in just a split second. Able to get down the boundary. And speed kills on the edge. Got to have your contain guy to shut it off. He got hooked, and it was all over.
So on his first career carry, Wilhite takes it to pay dirt from 20 yards out. They'll take another look up here in the replay booth. Well, Brian, Wake Forest has wanted to try to find more speed on the perimeter. I think we've seen with Williams tonight, here with Wilhite, as he tiptoes down the sidelines. I think he's stayed in thus far. Look at that.
That wasn't just one step. That was 3 or 4 in a row, right on the border. There's no way I think they have enough evidence to be able to overturn that one, because you clearly don't see any of that black shoe going on that white paint. That's walking the tightrope right there.
One more look.
On the field is confirmed.
And they'll confirm the touchdown. What a night for the freshman. Edlin on for the extra point. Wake Forest now in control of this game with 12:46 to play. Kick is up, and it is good. And our new score, 31-7. Fourth quarter action here in Winston-Salem. Wake Forest with the lead. Wilhite, 20 yards out. Demon Deacons with a 24-point lead after 31 unanswered points. We welcome you back here in Winston-Salem. Mays crossing the 25 up to the 28. Now that last scoring drive set up by Nikita Whitlock, and for more on the star nose guard, here's Angela Mallon.
Well, some folks don't know that the senior nose guard, Nikita Whitlock, is married and has a 3-year-old. We had a chance to catch up with him after practice, and I said, what's the biggest similarity between football and family? And he said it's got to be growing pains. He said there's ups and downs on both sides, and you have to be ready to love despite those imperfections. This is a guy who's been second All-ACC 2 years in a row, and he has his eye on the prize for the NFL. Nikita Whitlock is playing hard here tonight. Roy?
Thank you, Angela. As Presbyterian takes over in search of some offense. And we've got a new quarterback in the game for the Blue Hose as Caleb Griffin makes his debut here in 2013. Redshirt sophomore from Florence, South Carolina. 5 starts a year ago, Brian. He's been effective for this program. First time we've seen him tonight.
Yeah, he's had a really good high school career, threw for 6,000 plus yards in high school, but we thought we would see this change earlier to get a little spark going for him.
first down. Late fumble as the ball popped out. And they're going to say that's another turnover. Make it 6 for the Blue Hose. Coming out of there with the football is James Looney, the freshman defensive end. Another first-year player. Another big stop in this ball game. And they ripped it out of there right before the knee hit the turf.
2 good throws. They have the first down. And that old turnover bug catches them again. But that's how you're taught to do it on defense. When you've got them wrapped up, you try to get that ball loose. But it seems like PC's making it pretty easy for him tonight. That ball's on the ground all night.
21 points off of 6 turnovers thus far. The end around. New quarterback now in the game for the Deacons. So Tanner Price's night is drawn to a close. And Patrick Thompson, redshirt junior from Ashford, Virginia, and the twin brother of starting defensive end Zach Thompson now in the ball game.
Well, that's probably an unusual circumstance. I was on a team with my brother, but we never were on the field together.
Here's Thompson straight up the gut, and that'll be a Wake Forest first down. Going back to Whitlock for a minute, you played in the NFL for all of those years. You've seen unique players at that level. Where does Whitlock fit in the National Football League, you think?
Well, sadly, the NFL, they always look at the height and the weight of a player. That's where it all begins. And I don't like that, but that's the reality. You know, you'd think that heart would play into it, your ability to actually play the game.
Unsportsmanlike. Number 32, defense. Half the distance, first down.
And there are countless stories of guys who are undersized making it in the NFL. I'm one of them. So you never know. All you ask for is a chance. And I know for me and for most, it's finding the right opportunity, the right place where you fit in to be able to have that opportunity to make the football team, to be able to make the club. But he certainly got the talent and the heart for it.
After the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, handoff straight ahead. That'll be another first down inside the 5. Dominique Gibson with the carry, and his night starting to pick up steam. First and goal from the 4. Gibson, left side. Gibson. Waiting for the call. And did he turn it over? Presbyterian indicating that they've got possession of the football. And Gibson may have lost control right before crossing the goal line. Let's have another look. Demon Deacons with 1 turnover thus far tonight. Where the knee was down, it was hard to tell where the football was.
Well, being that the call on the field was the ball is loose, I don't see anything to overturn that call. It's close, but it has to be definitive for that to overturn it, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Quinn Ross with the stop. Presbyterian will try to run a play as quickly as possible. It was close either way, and Presbyterian's going to maintain possession. First down carry for short yardage. Caleb Griffin remains in this ball game for the Blue Hose.
It's a good time here, especially in Wake Forest, to get some younger guys some playing time that they normally wouldn't get in a game like this. Get them some experience.
Well, the opening night of college football, a lot of action.
Number 76
on
offense.
around the
5
country.
yards, second down.
And this score won't surprise a lot of people, as Wake Forest was thought of as a heavy favorite coming into this ball game. What do you make of the Deacons' chances as we get into conference play? Next week, it's Boston College. How far can this team go?
Well, I think the experience that they have on both sides of the football obviously is going to play well for them. They just, for them, getting over 500 is an accomplishment. It's been a while since they've been able to do that and to be able to establish themselves.
Mays for 3 yards. Well, we took a look at September. Here's the entire slate. Tough game on the road at number 8 Clemson at the end of September. 11th ranked Florida State as well. That'll be here in Winston-Salem. You figure the Atlantic Division, Florida State, Clemson, and then who's going to come after those two teams? And Wake Forest has had success against FSU in recent years, we should point out.
So much success of a ball club depends on the chemistry of the football team.
Big collision after the pass was deflected. Mays, the intended receiver. Laying the lumber that time. Hunter Williams.
He gets the tip ball. Trying to stay focused on it. That's tough when you got a defender in your face.
Williams, a walk-on, a redshirt freshman from Wake Forest, North Carolina. And the punt team back on the field. Low kick by Dorr. It's Johnson. Needs a block. And he can't get it. A nice play that time by Presbyterian special teams. Coming in there for the stop. 31-7 our score. Wake Forest football when we come back. Back at BB&T Field, Demon Deacons with a 24-point lead. 8 minutes and change remaining in our game. New quarterback for Wake Forest, Tyler Cameron. Third signal caller of the night that we've seen, a redshirt freshman from Jupiter, Florida. And we've been told he's the future of this Wake Forest program. 6'3", 220-pounder.
He's a big kid. It's always good to get reps, especially game reps like this where you're live under the lights.
When you think about some of the teams this weekend, Alabama, Virginia Tech, Clemson, Georgia, those teams not going to be afforded the opportunity likely to play a lot of their reserves. In this game, Wake Forest will get that benefit. A lot of times that'll pay dividends later in the season.
Without a doubt, you never know when injury is going to happen, and you're going to have to be forced to play somebody that you didn't think you would. Especially at the quarterback position, it's such a valuable commodity to be able to get guys reps in game situations. You just cannot simulate and practice enough. Even if it's your starters, it's impossible. Game time seasons them and gets them situations that you talk about a lot, but they don't get to experience a lot. And for him to get into a game, and even though there's not a whole lot on the line, he gets to experience seeing the defense, seeing the coverage, and making decisions.
Cameron with the read option. It'll go to the flanker, Armstrong. He's been impressive in limited opportunities tonight. That was the 71st play of the game ran by this Wake Forest offense, compared to just 40 by Presbyterian.
That's a lot of plays for a defense. I talked earlier about the chemistry of the football team, and Coach Grove was quoted as saying that he feels like there's a lot of players on this team who really love playing football, and he feels like that's been missing here for a while. And I'm sure he's speaking of those seniors that'll be able to create that chemistry, that community, to be able to take that teamwork mentality and be able to do something with it, because success is not just all based on talent of football players. It's how well they play together and how they mesh as a football team. And they're certainly finding their identity somewhat in this first ball game, and certainly in these first 4 ball games. They'll have time to be able to do that before they hit the meat of their season and be able to gain some confidence and some chemistry together of what they feel like they can accomplish this year.
Pass intended for Maddox Stammy. He'll bring up 3rd down as Jim Grobe looks on. Slow start tonight for his team. able to hang in there and ultimately separate themselves from this pesky Presbyterian team. Gibson, a hard collision in the backfield. Quinn Ross with the tackle.
I think Angela said it earlier, this senior group has not experienced a winning season, and they want to leave their mark. They felt like coming into it that they were going to be able to do something special here at Wake, and it hadn't happened yet. And this is their last shot at it. This is the beginning of the end of their Wake career, and certainly they'd like to leave a mark this year and be able to get to a bowl and be able to experience something they haven't been able to have in a long time.
Kennel back on the field. Mentioned earlier, the redshirt sophomore from Australia. You got to imagine he's got a big fan club down under tonight watching this one. Fumble on the return, but it'll be recovered by PC. 6:01 remaining here in our football game. The opening night of the 2013 college football season. And Wake Forest leading Presbyterian 31-7. We're back with more after this. Presbyterian football, Caleb Griffin remains in the game for the Blue Hose. Handoff for short yardage. If you joined us late, turnovers have been the story in this game. 8 of them in all, including 6 by the Blue Hose. Here's an early pick by Olsen off the deflection.
And we got the ball on the ground on the center quarterback exchange. A couple of poor decisions here. Trying to move the football downfield into double coverage. You just can't do that. Very costly for your football team early in the game.
Great pick by Kevin Johnson. He's picked right up where he left off a season ago. Ebron Glenn, the intended receiver. Also had a power outage back in our first half. Since then, it's been all Demon Deacons.
Yeah, electricity out. It's a long way down if we have to take the stairs, and we tried that earlier. It was nice and hot out there. We were both working up quite a sweat. Did not want to have that happen.
And Wake Forest in control and scored 31 unanswered points. Now for Presbyterian, certainly some things you can build on after a game like this. Defense with a couple of key stops early in this one. But Brian, as the Blue Hose go through this 2013 campaign, may need to find a quarterback that you can settle in on and figure out maybe if you can run the football a little bit from that position. Certainly be more accurate with your downfield passing game.
Yeah, they split time last year with their 2 young quarterbacks, and you know, Coach, he talks about having 2, and you don't have 1, and I kind of adhere to that, but he's trying to buck that system a little bit. It's tough because I've been in circumstances like that as a coach, but you really like to have one guy who's your leader, who you can go to, who the kids know are going to be there week in and week out.
Door with a 36-yard punt. It'll be out of bounds at the Wake Forest 44-yard line. 4:29 remaining. Demon Deacons with a 31-7 lead as Jim Grove and company looking for their first win of the season. It's pretty strong. This is the ACC on ESPN. And the Demon Deacons dancing here in Winston on this Thursday night college football opener. Wake Forest in control. 24-point lead. Well, Tanner Price's night has concluded, but a great start to his senior season. 14 of 21 passing as we take a look at the highlights. Many of these going for the redshirt freshman Jonathan Williams, but Price on target early in this season.
Yeah, he's seeing that open field down the middle, and they took advantage of it early. Great job here, misdirection, making a play out of nothing. Something he didn't do really well last year. Didn't have a whole lot of positive yardages running the football, but this game just alone has done a great job with his feet and seeing the open target, getting him a rushing score here with his legs. Really good game getting out the gate. A lot of confidence throwing the football and even running the football, which is what Coach Grove had talked about earlier in the week.
Numbers were impressive. Watch the rushing yardage this year. Rushed for over 1,000 yards. High school, playing high school football in Texas. And as we take a look across the landscape of college football entering this season, mobility, the quarterback position, absolutely imperative. Third down conversion here for the Deacons as the clock will continue to wind down. Right, if you've got an athlete under center, it's almost like having a 12th man on the field for your offense, and Tanner Price could be utilized more in that capacity this year.
Yeah, it just seems like it's happening everywhere. That spread offense, that Tebow type look, where it's more of a scat back type of quarterback as opposed to a heavier guy like a Tebow who can actually give you really dynamic plays at that position. You're also exposing him a little bit to more hits, which it's a risk you take. But it does add another dimension, puts another runner in the backfield.
Thompson back in at quarterback. At the end around, when it goes to Weaver.
But when
Make that
happens,
Armstrong.
When that happens, though, it makes it difficult for the defense because that quarterback is usually a non-factor, especially in the running game. But when you put him back at depth in that spread look, he becomes another runner. So now you have to account for not just 10 guys. Now you got to account for 11. He's not just giving the ball to somebody else. He becomes a factor in the running game. And as we're seeing Tyler Cameron here, their quarterback for the future, very, very elusive, quick feet.
Handoff Martin. And a short game. Well, we'll take a look at the Blue Hose schedule. Playing in the Big South Conference, and the goal this year, Blue Hose feel like they've got a chance to win their home games. You see Brevard, a team they beat last year. They'll get them next week. Charlotte starting their football program this season. The 49ers get them down in Clinton, South Carolina in a couple of weeks. Winnable game against Point, and then roll the dice against Charleston Southern and Gardner-Webb. 2 wins a season ago. I would think it's a legitimate chance, maybe double that win total from last year, as Coach Harold Nichols trying to get his guys out of diapers, as he likes to say, and they've grown up a little bit tonight.
Yeah, that'll do it. You're playing an opponent like Wake Forest. Get to see how the big boys do it. It's tough medicine to swallow sometimes, but great learning experience for them.
You talk about building a program in the Big South. Presbyterian picked to finish tied for 5th with BMI.
Yeah, they've got a lot to be proud of tonight. Early on in the game, defensively, did some really good things. Stopped Wake Forest. And, you can't just say it's all to the miscues offense. They're the ones who are making the miscues happen. And they're a little more experienced this year. Expectations are a little bit higher. I think a 4-win season is attainable.
And that'll be the final snap of the game as Thompson in victory formation. We'll put the icing on the cake of a Wake Forest victory here in this 2013 college football opener. And for Jim Grove, back to the drawing board, Boston College next week. And for Presbyterian, the quick trip home for the quick turnaround against Brevard. Jim Grove, Harold Nichols meeting at midfield, and our final score this evening, 31-7. Wake Forest improving to 1-0 as Presbyterian falls to 0-1. Well, Brian, final thoughts here in Winston on what we've seen here tonight between these two teams.
Well, I think you look at Coach Grove and what they're trying to do with the experience that he has on offense and defense. They have a chance to have a better year, a good year, get it over 500. A bowl game is a possibility. Obviously a little bit worried early in this ball game, but seeing his senior leadership, which he has a lot of on both sides of the football, I think we saw that kind of take over the game and get them back on their feet and to come out with the outcome we expected. So they have a chance here early on to get 4-0 and get out the gate and be able to have a good year. And I think that's a good thing for Coach Grove. A positive night for them tonight, I think.
Thanks, Brian. It has been a pleasure, my friend. I've really enjoyed it. A great way to kick off this 2013 season. So for Brian Kitchen and Angela Mallon, I'm Roy Philpott saying so long from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. The final score tonight, Wake Forest 31, Presbyterian 7. To watch this entire game on replay, as well as other games on our family of ESPN networks, log on to watchespn.com or download the Watch ESPN app. Thanks, everybody, for watching. This has been a presentation of ESPN.